Good evening. Our group name is Nothing in Common. My name is Lindsay.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Joe.
And when we were assigned our group, we tried to sit down and find something that was in common with all of us, but really couldn't find anything, so that's why we settled on our group name, Nothing in Common. Today we're going to be presenting about the 3 apps that we were assigned that have helped us fine-tune our communication skills and public speaking skills, whether that be through an interesting presentation aid or an app that helps us count our filler words. So the technology that we were assigned, we would like to state a quote by Edward Teller. "The science of today is the technology of tomorrow." Technology is constantly advancing, and so must we, and the 3 apps that we have used have really helped us, like we mentioned before, aid in developing our communication skills. So that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Joe, who will elaborate more on that and the 3 main aspects of our speech today.
So this presentation will be divided into 3 parts. We will discuss each app and then explain how they can be used and how they can help you with your presentation. First, we will discuss the Filler Words app and how that can be used to eliminate unnecessary words in your speech. Then, we will use Vivid Outline and explain how that can keep your presentation focused. And finally, we will discuss the presentation software Powtoon and how it can be a nice alternative to PowerPoint. With that being said, we will begin our discussion with the Filler Words app.
So, Filler Word is compatible with iPhone, iPad, and iPod. It's free and it's easy to use. The app, basically, you add how many times you say and so and so you can either have someone listen to you and do it manually, or you could record yourself and do it manually. A positive feature of the app is that it helps you with your public speaking to not say these words. It makes you realize how many times you say them, because most people don't realize it's kind of just a natural thing that people do. A negative feature is that you have to do it manually, which can take time, and if you don't have someone to listen to you speak, it can be an inconvenience to record yourself and then listen to it. This can help people who have never taken a public speaking class, because it can help them realize that they say filler words. This app relates to what we have learned in class, because filler word can distract the audience. Using filler words, it can make the audience less interested. It can make you seem not as confident, because if you are talking about a subject that you're very confident in, you know a lot about, most of the time you wouldn't use filler words. So now I'm going to pass it over to Joe to talk about Vivid Outline.
As explained on the website, the idea behind Vivid Outline is for the speaker to organize their ideas into clear and direct points. So this helps the speaker maintain eye contact with the audience and spend less time on their phone or with their presentation aid. I'll show you how it works. So because we do not pay for the app, we will have to use the demo version. Now on the demo, you cannot make your own outlines. You can only look at the samples they give you. As you can see here, that when you make one, it will look like this. Your main points are in red above, and then each section is divided into 3 things you want to say about that, into chunks. Chunk 1, 2, and 3. And finally, it gives you a recap about all your main points in your speech. A negative about this app is that it's outdated, and it is only slightly useful if you pay the $10 a month for it. For free, you cannot make your own outlines, and you can only use the samples that they give you. From my experience with the app, because it is outdated, it slows your phone and causes your phone to freeze often. The same lesson that it could teach you about being concise and clear can also be learned through a speech textbook or through help online. The app isn't very useful if you're using the free version. It can be improved with an update and more options for free users. Now that we've discussed Vivid Outline, we will now discuss Powtoon.
Okay, so Powtoon is our final app, which is technically a presentation aid. It is a website, so it's accessible on any device that allows internet access, that being Android or Apple devices, phones, iPads, tablets, Macs, PCs. The software that we were able to work with is free for a trial. For businesses, it is $197 a month, or for pro, $89 a month. Educational plans are less expensive, being priced at $8, $16, or $4.99 a month, but they offer less benefits because of a lesser price. The trial we were working with was only available for 48 hours and offers limited Powtoon features, including only a 5-minute presentation. So because it was only limited for 48 hours, we had to create our Powtoon presentation within those 48 hours, send it to each other, and make sure it was also accessible for the time that we were presenting that class. So everything was kind of shortened into that brief period of time, as well as the only allotted 5 minutes that we were allowed. That meant that every slide had to be like within or under 20 seconds, which is kind of hard when you have a lot of information that you would like to put on each slide. So Powtoon is a software, like I mentioned, which does a lot of animations. It's similar to PowerPoint or Google Slides, but different because of that animation feature and the modern graphics that it offers. This app is relatively easy to use, but difficult in the sense that there are so many options and so much going on at once. I was responsible for putting together our Powtoon presentation, and for each slide, or for Powtoon we call it storyboards, you had to choose the background, the font color, the text box, and which kind of presentation you wanted. So Powtoon offers 3 options, those being work, education, or business. When I tried to do one thing at once, a bunch of different panels would come up, whether or not I wanted the text animated or the background to be part of the business aspect of Powtoon or work. So I would prefer that it was one task at a time rather than several things happening at once. Because of this, the app was obviously distracting and frustrating, but other people may find it multifaceted and fun. The work I did was also lost very easily. If I made one mistake, the whole presentation was lost. Is Powtoon useful? Yes, because it's an alternative for PowerPoint. In college and in most workforces, we're going to have to give presentations at one point during our career. So it was nice to have a different option or alternative to PowerPoint. But like I mentioned before, the allotted time for each slide and the 48 hours that we had to complete it with was kind of frustrating. The animations on each slide was definitely a positive. The cool effects is definitely a positive, but very frustrating to use at points. Powtoon obviously relates to what we've learned in class, giving us another option for a presentation aid, and helped us to create a presentation aid that was creative and different from the ones that we are typically used to. It's helpful for those who haven't taken an oral communication class, for it's an easy way to create a PowerPoint-like presentation. So before we conclude, we want to show our Powtoon video. The last thing I would like to mention before we conclude PowerPoint is that the information we found and reviews we found were from Apple App Reviews and from brightcarbon.com, which was a technology review. So now I'm going to pass it over to Jess to conclude the whole presentation.
Today we have talked about 3 apps that can help people with public speaking. Fiddleword and Powtoon were more helpful than Vivid Outline. All 3 of the apps had faults. They were confusing and had some unnecessary features. I hope all of us have thoroughly informed you about all of these apps so that you would want to possibly use them to help you with future public speeches. And thank you for listening.